Triple P. Triple P. Triple P. Triple P. Panels for comics, turn the page. Ink in the margins, front to stage. Power drivers for wrestling, crowd goes wild. Place for good food, served up style. One name, 3 lanes, here we roll. Turn it up, let it go, let it go. Triple P, 3 things we love. Triple P, turn it up loud. Panels, power drivers, plates.
Hello and welcome in for another episode of Triple P, the Comic Pod, panels, pile drivers, and plates. I'm Super Dave Miller. I'm your co-host, and we couldn't do it without the man himself, the promoter of Bayou Independent Wrestling, the creator of Castle Aiden, the upcoming comic series we're all excited to see, Mr. Josh Newell. How you doing, sir?
Man, I'm doing great today. It's been busy, but a good busy, so I always like when there's something going on and I can kind of move from one task to the other. If I have a day that's wrestling, real estate, and comics, I'm thrilled.
All right. Well, we got a big guest tonight.
Right. Here on episode 5, it's our first guest.
Our very first guest. It only took us 5 to get it in. It's a big one.
Absolutely. Very talented man.
Well, without further ado, let's bring him in. He's a heck of an artist, Mr. DJ Hall. Welcome to Triple P, the Comic Pod.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. I've seen so much of your work in the last 5 or 6 weeks just with Josh. And I got to tell you, I'm super excited about the Kickstarter because the level I chose is I got all the covers.
Yeah, it's the way to go.
And I really, really like yours.
Thank you. Yeah. Josh came to me with that idea, and I kind of didn't know what I was going to do with it. And I just started sketching out details and stuff, but I wanted the focus to be on the king. And so if you'll notice, like a lot of the background characters are slightly blurred. That was to put emphasis on the king and his sword there. That's kind of in your face.
They put it up on the screen there.
Yeah, and I wanted to try to get the logo in there with the bear with the cub in his mouth as banners on the wall. And I try to play around with the lighting and stuff. I always try to do something with lighting. And so I thought it'd be cool to have like the window with the sunlight coming in, kind of shining off his crown and the sword, armor, and whatnot.
You know, I told Josh when I first saw it, it kind of reminds me of like this could be live action animated series.
Yeah. I saw a comment. Somebody had said it reminded them of a video game art.
Yeah, it does kind of.
Yeah.
Dragon's Lair.
Yeah.
Dragon's Lair. Yeah, I see it now.
Yeah, it was.
I put a lot of quarters in that machine.
It was a challenging cover. I got to read the script and stuff, and Josh kind of gave it, even before I saw the full script, Josh gave me a sneak peek of kind of the part he was talking about that this is based off of from issue 1, and kind of what the king would have done if he was in the presence of what happened. And so I just kind of took it and ran with it. It was fun, but it was challenging, but I'm happy with it. I've got good feedback on it and stuff. It's kind of like with most of my covers and art, after I'm finished, I see stuff I want to do different on it, but on to the next one.
The biggest thing with DJ is he's done a bunch of different covers for a bunch of different projects, but they're all so different. Like that cover there is nothing like any of the other ones that I've seen him do, because the range is there to do so many different things. So that's one of the things I like. And I've actually put DJ on so many projects just from Castle Aiden. He did the logo for us. He did the map. He does the lettering. He did that cover. He's doing another logo for another comic book idea that I have. Yep. So he's just somebody that can kind of do a little bit of everything. Plus, I had him do that Hawkman that you love, Dave, that 11x17.
Oh, yeah, I was blown away.
So which should be arriving at my house here pretty soon. So it'll go up on this wall behind me. So had him do some sketch cards. He even had to do a Rod Stewart one.
Yeah.
So we're challenging him a little bit.
I was telling Josh that one of my favorite things that I've ever done at a Comic-Con is I actually went to one back in the day when they were true Comic-Cons. That I got I got an artist to do me a sketch, and I got to sit there and watch them do their work, and how you could see it all come together, but you weren't sure when they started how it was all going to come together. Mm-hmm. And I encourage anybody that ever has the opportunity to get a commission a drawing should do it. But it blew me away to see how y'all apply your craft, and I can't do it.
Yeah, I approach different stuff differently. When I first started drawing and decided I was going to try to do this, I was still in the Air Force, and I was working night shifts, and I went to my first Comic-Con out in Vegas, and I talked to a lot of the artists and stuff, and I've always drawn and I've been a fan of like the Spider-Man, Wolverine. And so on my last year in the military, when I finished all my work and I was just kind of sitting there, kind of manning the desk, I guess, I started drawing and watching Jim Lee tutorials, and he would do that. Like somebody would give him a sketchbook and he would just start sketching it real quickly with pencil, and he like 10 seconds. And then he would just jump into an ink pen or a Sharpie and just start sculpting like Batman or Catwoman. And it was pretty cool watching that. And there's so many artists, they have different styles and stuff like that. I could do quick loose sketches, but I like to kind of get in there and do the detailed stuff that takes a little bit longer.
Yeah, that Castle Aiden cover we were talking about, how long did that one end up taking you, DJ?
I don't know. The stats are on my iPad, but that doesn't include kind of references and like doing concept sketches. I would say it took me about 12 to 14 hours total. Yeah.
And what's your typical cover?
It varies. So when I used to do only traditional, I would spend 20 to 30 hours on a traditional piece. Once I got a little bit more proficient with the iPad and digital, I kind of mixed them. And if I do all digital, it's faster. So I would say the average is probably right around there, like 12, 14 hours.
Okay. Yeah. It turned out like from the original thing we talked about to what it turned out, it was amazing to kind of watch it transition. Because if you go back to our original conversation, I really didn't think that's where we were going to end. But I'm very glad that is where we ended.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun and different. It makes sure stand out from probably any cover we're going to have in the first 4 issues. Yeah. I've seen a lot of them, and none of them are going to be that.
Yeah, some of the ones you showed me that are coming up too, they're really cool. Some really good artists, and they all have their own style, and they're top notch, honestly.
Right, and that's what I'm trying to do. Is I'm trying to reach out to a bunch of different artists to get their fan base involved with us and see what we do. But also just, more exposure for us and them, depending on who the artist is. Sometimes they're not getting anything off us because we do have like Scott McDaniel and Tone Rodriguez and Jeff Johnson. So these are all guys that have done everything in comics, 30 plus years for all 3 of those guys. So we're just blessed to have them. But like they took it serious. Like Tone, that's going to be a tough cover to beat. Tone put a heck of a cover out there for us. He didn't take it easy just because it was an independent deal and he has an image thing going. He went in there and really did a good job. So,
yeah, I've worked with Tone on a few projects, and anytime I'm with him at a show or an event, I always pick his brain because he has so much experience. And then talking about the sketch commissions and stuff, he can sit there and whip out a sketch commission in 5 minutes. That's like, it's crazy watching him work. He's so fast because he's done it for so long.
Right.
And he's so talented. But yeah, Tone's a huge one to have on there.
He did our cover in a couple hours, but you wouldn't guess. You wouldn't guess that it was a couple hour.
Yeah, he's quick. He's known to be quick. He's actually going to do a cover for me too, which I'm excited about. I haven't seen anything yet, but yeah.
Let me ask you, you mentioned that you having stats on your iPad. So do you do a lot of your art on the iPad now? The sketching?
So I like to still when I can. So I was actually most of the time I did Josh's cover. I was at a bookstore working, so I could get out of the house because the kids were home for the summer and it was loud in here and I couldn't focus. So I took it with my earbuds to the bookstore. So I did all of that on my iPad. Typically, I like to sketch on paper, and then if I need to speed up the process, I'll just take a picture of that on my iPad, and then I'll take it in and paint it.
Oh,
Um, it kind of depends. But I would say most of my recent covers are digital. Yeah, on my
I was just
iPad.
wondering if there was like a learning curve from going from sketching on paper
Yeah.
to having to use to actually get that pencil and be able to sketch on an iPad. I'd seen for a while there, Todd McFarlane would come on and he was doing that, doing videos and watch. I just was wondering how much harder, because I guess
It's
with a pencil on the paper, I imagine there's a whole different feel.
Yeah, for sure. So I got the iPad actually back in like 2020, and I did my first comic related art piece on it like 2 years later. I didn't even like touch it much unless I was bored and just playing around. But then I started really getting a feel for it, I guess. And I found a couple of things that helped me on the iPad. You're not going to see the cover, but I have this. There's a tip on my pencil there, and it's from a company called Paperlike, and it kind of gives it that texture feel to the nib or whatever on the Apple Pencil, and then on the iPad itself, the screen protector is like a textured Paperlike is the
Okay.
brand, texture, so it doesn't feel like I'm drawing on like slick glass completely. Definitely helps, but yeah, it's different. I'm not good at inking, just straight like comic book inking on the iPad because I can't get the flick of the brush or the pen like I want for like hatching and stuff. So it just depends on like the style of project or kind of what I'm doing. I'm working on a cover right now. I did the concept actually on the iPad, but I'm gonna print it out on an 11 by 17 sheet, and then I'm gonna go in and ink it traditionally. So I have that original piece, and I can get the lines like I want because it's more of an animation style. So I want the ink to be kind of perfect. Then I'll take it back in again and color it digitally so it pops. So it just kind of depends. I like to do different things, whatever the situation or project is.
Now, when you're figuring out how to quote somebody a price for the work, are you already thinking in your head at that point what all you're going to do and which way you're going to go with it? Or does that come kind of later and you still don't change the price on them? Or how does that part work? How does your pricing work?
I usually for cover art, it just depends if it's like an indie book or not, or if I've known the guy for years. I've done books for Chris Hayes for about 5 years now, so he
Right.
gets a little discount, right?
Right.
So I'm doing a lot of work with you, so like, but I usually just have a set price. I don't charge a lot, honestly, because I just like doing the books and like having more covers under my belt. I've
Right.
done roughly 50-ish published covers in the past 5 or 6 years, and so I just like kind of pumping that number up, getting more work out there, more eyes on it.
Right.
So I just kind of work as long as I get compensated for some of it, but I usually keep a flat fee. Like I don't go in like, okay, well, this took me 4 extra hours because of the background. I don't charge more for that. It's just
I got
flat
you.
fee.
So if
usually
you
up
go, so if you go off the deep end and add 5 hours of extra detail, that's
Yeah,
on
that's on
you.
me.
You're not
Yeah,
going
that's
to
on
come
me.
back and have that conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I've had some artists that are like, man, this ended up taking me a lot longer than I thought. And they don't ask for more necessarily, but they're kind of elbow, elbow, elbow. You think you could give me a little more?
Yeah.
And again, I'm not necessarily against throwing bonuses and stuff to people, but right now we're at the early stages of Castle Aiden, so I have $8,000 out and $0 in. So like right now ain't the right time for bonus, but I do hope that point comes. You know.
Yeah, for traditional like commissions where it's like a one-off, I usually charge more for that because it does take longer. And,
Right.
But for cover work, it's usually just kind of a flat fee for the general, like somebody I don't know. I just give them
Right.
a flat fee and just knock it out.
Right, makes sense. Now you have a book that you've been working on, October, right?
October, yeah, shooting October 1st to launch a Kickstarter for it.
Okay, tell us a little bit about it. I know it's been in your head for a long time, so
Yeah, so I have 3 comic book ideas. One I'm calling Dirty Rats. That one's coming out probably in the spring of next year. I wanted it this year, but I jumped over to different projects. That's going to be kind of a 90s nostalgia cartoon themed story about rats set in New York City in the 90s.
Okay.
So I have a big book I was working on called The Night Shift. It's kind of a vigilante type Punisher meets Batman type story. I set it in Colorado. I've already done teasers of that last year. That got put on the back burner because I wanted to get this book out. But the Night Shift book's going to be really cool because it deals with like human trafficking and that kind of aspect. But this book, I wrote the script for issue 1. It was a rough copy back about 4 years ago when I was sitting on a night shift at work, and I initially was going to call it Psychophobia. I renamed it and announced it as Black Ribbon. So that's the book that I'm launching in October, Black Ribbon. And the concept of it is just each issue is a different story. They really don't have anything to do with one another as far as the actual story itself. And each issue is also going to be loosely inspired by a different phobia. And so the issue 1 is inspired by mesophobia, if I'm pronouncing it right, which is the fear of getting lost. And so I thought, what better? I took that idea of that fear, and I wanted to write my first issue for my horror series. I wanted it to be a Halloween themed issue, which is why I'm launching it in October as well.
Right.
And mesophobia, there's some, obviously there's corn maze and stuff, but I'm doing something different with it. And I already have other phobias lined up and possibly some guest writers and things like that. But I'm illustrating it, writing it, lettering it right now. And I do have some cover artists that are going to hop on.
Right.
But I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's going to be your baby 100% because you're doing everything.
Yeah.
I'm not talented enough to pull that off. I have to hire some talented men such as yourself to help me.
Yeah, I mean, if I had more money too, I would definitely pay a team to help me, and I would just do the writing and maybe a cover for it. But it's just one of those things I'm going to knock out by myself, and in the future I can bring in different artists based on the story. So.
Right. Now, of course, Jason is who told me about you. How did you and Jason first get involved together?
So I knew of Jason, and I think I was friends with him on Facebook for a few years. There's a guy Keith Miller, that's the project manager for the Kickstarter.
Right.
I've known Keith for a while, and he told me, he was like, Jason's a good guy. And I actually was reaching out looking for some music advice because I was thinking about doing some music stuff. And he was like, Jason's a country music guy also. And so I actually talked to Jason about music for a couple of years on and off, just picking his brain about that. And then we did a show about a year and a half ago in Texoma, in Durant, Oklahoma, just north of Dallas. And we actually sat next to each other. And so that was the first time I met him, and we went out to dinner at the casino and we just talked. And that's kind of how I met him. And I'm doing a cover for his book and lettering his final issue of his book right now. So that's we just kind of got together, and we've been in contact ever since.
So y'all didn't even talk any real comic talk for the first however long. It was mostly music. Okay. That's an interesting way to meet.
Yeah. Jason's a good guy, talented too. He can do a lot.
Yeah, he's been a blessing as far as Castle Aiden for sure. Just kind of showing me the stuff that I don't know, and being serious with his pages, because artists do have a habit of kind of falling behind deadlines and stuff. So when you're doing interiors, that's completely different. A cover, we can wait a week or we can wait 2 weeks or whatever. But the interiors, you start getting behind, and next thing you know, you're not meeting the deadline that you're trying to meet. And he's been great at 2 pages every week. 2 pages every week.
He's been knocking them out.
1 week that we missed, and that was because he had Orlando and Atlanta or something back to back, and it was a killer 2-week stretch, and that's the only week that we've missed from February till recent.
Yeah, he's been on it, and he's, like you said, he's at shows almost every weekend, especially during the summer.
Right.
It'll slow down in the winter and fall.
I definitely want to get one next year that all 3 of us can be at. Go out to eat and see if we can't make a little money in the process too. But
So I was actually going to mention to you and kind of plug it on the show or whatever. I got invited to be on a board for a comic expo that they're doing in Texas next year. It's next October,
Okay.
and it's not a Comic Con, but we're inviting artists and writers or anybody that has any they touch the book in any way to come out. They're going to get a free table. Vendors are going to get charged for their tables, but artists, writers, creators, they're going to get free tables. They're going to bring in college students. So it's more of like a professional expo where you can network. They're going to have panels. So if that's something you're interested in too, I'm going to mention it to Jason. I've already mentioned it to a few others, and we could all come out and do a panel together and just talk about Castle Aiden or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely do that. Just let me know a date whenever you know one, because with the wrestling, I book it about a year ahead of time. So
yeah.
Come November, I'll have 2027 booked as far as dates go.
Yeah, so they already have the dates booked. It's just outside Lubbock, Texas, so it's going to be in like West Texas.
Okay.
It's in a town called Post, and they're expecting a few thousand people. They're trying to get at least 80 or 50 artists, creators out there. They're looking for like DC Image, people like that as well.
Right.
They also want the small indie people that are like in the trenches, doing.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of talent in Texas that they should be able to reach out to.
For sure, yeah. The dates are October 1st through the 3rd.
Okay. Well, I'll make sure I don't schedule a wrestling. I'll be there.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I would advise you to fly, John.
You'll learn, Dave, that a lot of times with the cons, you can't really fly because you have so much stuff.
That's true.
Like, I know just from my little small list, and I'm not even an artist, you're going to be toting 7 different books, bookmarks, maps, shirts, all the decorations behind you to make your table stand out. I know Jason, our artist, he doesn't fly anywhere. It don't matter where it's at. Yeah. It can be in Chicago. He's driving. But I mean, he has so much stuff that he's bringing to these cons to try and make money that it's just, I can't even imagine what you'd have to pay to fly yourself, plus get all that stuff there safely.
You make a good point, but I'll just know that anytime that you drive, once you pass Fort Worth.
Come on now. Fort Worth's not that bad.
No, up until Fort Worth, it's great. After Fort Worth, that's a long drive.
I drove to Minnesota last year, and I only hated the last 3 or 4 hours home.
There's just nothing to see after you leave Fort Worth.
Yeah, I grew up in that part. I can confirm there's not a lot out there.
That's your hatred of Oklahoma coming out.
I don't hate Oklahoma.
That's I love Oklahoma City and Durant and what else? Tulsa. I love all the little Oklahoma places. So, but okay. Well, let's see. We got the book plug in. Now, Castle Aiden, the Kickstarter ends tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Why is the reason? They've heard me say it. They've heard Dave. What is the reason that somebody should go to the Kickstarter and give this book a chance, DJ? Besides your awesome cover.
Yeah. I think it's just cool to support indie comics in general. Anyone that's a fan of comics, like support Marvel, DC and stuff, go support indie. And we have a good group of guys that are doing a lot of cool stuff there. Bringing Justin on to do the coloring. Jason's interiors are awesome. The writing's cool. I like the way the story's going. Like I'm in issue 2 right now, lettering, and I'm liking where it's headed. And it's just a fun book. And like you said, the whole Game of Thrones, I'm a big fan of like the fantasy, and I know we're going to get into dragons and stuff because I put that on the map, right?
Right.
And werewolves and that type of thing. And so it's just the beginning and kind of seeing, it's like the pilot episode, right? Like get in here, get to know these characters and kind of grow with them. And it would be cool to look back if you're trying to support something to say I was there from day one, So, and it means a lot to us as creators to keep pushing forward and it's a win-win.
Right. And one of the good things about, back in this particular book is it's already done. So you don't have to worry about will you get it or is there going to be a big delay or anything like that. Plus, we've already got 6 scripts and we're almost done with issue 2 and we have plans of pumping this out. So if people get behind it, you're gonna get your material. You're gonna be invested in the story. You're not gonna have to wait a year or 2 years or anything like that. we're going to try to pump out 4 to 5, maybe even 6 issues a year to kind of keep this story going.
Yeah. And I think it's really going to explode next year once you start doing shows. I'm doing more shows currently. I'm kind of ramping up, even though it's kind of towards the end of the season, like the summer is ending. But I'm doing as many shows as I can. I want to get on Jason's level where I'm every other weekend. To
Get you some energy drinks.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it, and lettering and doing a cover here and there as they come up. So
yeah, and you'll have little side projects like just today we were talking about Dark Minds, which is another project I'm working on, and you're doing a logo there and different things, and I might get a cover here and there that needs coloring and go, hey, you got time? Of course, time is one of the things that's precious for you, because you're doing everything on your book. Then you have our book, and then you're doing covers, and you're always doing sketch stuff. So, time is definitely precious for sure. But
yeah, I actually was talking to Jason a couple weeks ago about every morning I'm starting out doing commission work if I have it, like sketch covers and stuff, or just doing sketch covers. Right now, I'm trying to do as many as I can to build up for Colorado Springs Comic-Con in a week and a half. But I set aside a set amount of hours every morning to work on that stuff. Then I jump into books like yours or Jason's or whatever that I'm lettering or doing cover work for other people. And then I finish the day at like maybe after lunch, kind of working on my interiors of my book. And it's been kind of working. I haven't stuck to it like strictly, but that's kind of how I had to break up my day. And I'm usually not like a scheduled type person,
right.
But I had to, and I'm getting more and more work and commissions and stuff right now. And so it's helping me to kind of have that schedule and stay on pace with your project, my project, Jason's, other projects. So, but yeah, it's fun.
And of course, DJ is going to be lettering my Dark Minds one too, which we haven't said on the podcast yet. But so he's going to be busy with that project as well. So no rest for DJ for sure.
Yeah, the lettering is fun. I like it.
Well, if you want to contribute on the last night of the Kickstarter, the QR code on the top left corner of the screen will take you to that Kickstarter.
Absolutely. And it ends at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. So that's the deadline. That's when we're going to start ordering the T-shirts and, starting to get the books printed and see how many we need of each cover and start messing with the files. So make sure you go in tonight or first thing in the morning.
DJ, I want to circle back. You mentioned that you're a Marvel fan, and you mentioned Spider-Man specifically.
Mm-hmm.
When you draw Spider-Man, is there a certain part of Spider-Man that you put more emphasis and detail into, like maybe the webs or the costume? Or
honestly, when I draw Spider-Man, I do a lot of Spider-Man, and I draw him I have kind of a general way I like to draw them, but I like to play around with the webs and the eyes, especially. I really try to focus on the pose. I want a good pose for Spider-Man. But the webs and stuff, I look at like different artists, like Gabriel Delato. The way he draws Spidey's eyes are really squinted, and I think it looks kind of cool and menacing. So I've drawn Spidey in that way. And then you have like Todd McFarlane with the huge eyes and stuff. I've drawn them that way as well. So I play around. I've seen the webs, like Liber Mejo does his suit and his webs a certain way as well. I don't have a specific way I draw that stuff. I just want a cool pose with Spidey, a dynamic pose or like a kind of cool looking setting pose.
Well, the people watching will get real mad if we don't have you draw something. So can you do like a little just quick Spider-Man sketch?
Yeah. Let me let's see. Let me grab
Yeah, we had to put you on the spot.
Yeah, let me find my pad. I had it packed down from my show this weekend. 1 second.
Yeah, no problem. So we'll see what DJ brings to the table on a spur notice.
I can't help but notice that he's got a sketch of Ric Flair on the wall back there.
Yeah, that was I did that. My first ever Comic-Con was in 2018, and it was the Hill Country Comic-Con, which is the first year they did that in Bronzeville, Texas. And then following that, I had a kind of back-to-back show in Austin. And so that was actually one of my best shows ever. I had a millionaire collector guy come in and buy 13 of my original art pieces.
Wow.
And yeah, it was cool. And for me, it was like, okay, like I'm hooked at that point, you know?
Right.
And I had people say it's not always going to be like that. And it's not, but that was a cool thing. But I also did, I went home one night because I think it was a 3-day show. I went home one night and I kind of did this Ric Flair drawing. And he was there. And so I had him sign it.
Well, the guy you're talking to actually refereed Ric Flair's last match.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Yeah, Mike Chioda got bumped, so when I got to run in and make the 3 count.
That's awesome.
I love that.
Yeah,
that is amazing.
I was playing with the style at the time. I just started. I was big into color pencils. This was marker, and so I was doing these drawings where I would mix black and gray with like color pop. So I drew Ric Flair black and gray, and then I gave him his robe and stuff. Looks better in person, but I'm still proud.
It looks great. I noticed it.
Dave is probably going to be hitting you up for a commission sometime before Christmas now.
Oh yeah,
He's a huge Ric Flair fan, so
yeah. I've wanted to do like a series of like wrestlers and stuff. I've never got around to doing it. I want to do a series for like comedians as well. Let me move this.
I've got a comedian friend that made his pro wrestling debut in a Rumble this week. And instead of Big Van Vader, he was Big Man Tater.
okay,
I
like it.
His gear looks like Vader's gear, but he came out with a microwave oven on his head, and he opened the microwave oven. But it got over. I mean,
oh yeah, I'm sure. All right, zoom in on DJ Dave.
Yeah, I mean, I got my paper here. I just started sketching. You got me full screen. Yeah, I used to watch wrestling a lot when I was a kid. I haven't watched it as much recently.
Now you're a Texas Tech guy. Are you from Texas originally?
Yeah, so I grew up north of Abilene, Texas, and west or east of Lubbock. So I grew up in a small town out there.
Okay.
And,
Texas loves their wrestling, so
yeah.
we used to go to West Texas a lot. We'd drive to Abilene and then head south to Fluvanna.
Fluvanna. Where is that at exactly?
Have you ever heard of the Cap Rock?
Yeah.
It's by the Cap Rock.
Okay.
Because I can remember us driving to the Cap Rock. But Fluvanna was a dead town back then. But I always remembered us. We would stay in Abilene.
Yeah. Yeah, I grew up around there, and when I got out of the military, I moved back to Abilene actually for about a year. And then I moved to Austin, which was probably the best thing for me because that's where I met some people to get me into the comic scene. And then from there, it kind of took off.
I wish my Chicago Bears would have drafted Mahomes like they should have done, but
yeah,
we traded up to get a guy that had played wide receiver most of his college career, but you know, he was a quarterback one year.
My cousin Brad used to live in Abilene. He did the sports there, and he used to do a challenge of he'd play you at something, and you would get a T-shirt that said "I beat Brad" if you beat him.
Yeah, I grew up around there. We played 6-man football. That was our big thing. I was more of a basketball guy, but 6-man football was huge, and we were pretty good. We made it to state in football and track. One state in track my senior year, I think, and then basketball. We made it really far in basketball. And so I was more of a cross country and long distance runner in track, and basketball was like my go-to. And I used to be good. I was short, but I was good at it. And I had the opportunity to play in college. Ended up going to the Air Force instead.
And we thank you for your service.
Oh yeah. It was the Air Force was the best decision I made for different reasons growing up. I didn't have money for college and stuff like that. How detailed are you trying to get this drawing?
Not too detailed. We ain't putting you we ain't putting you to work. We're just trying to showcase a little bit.
Yeah, let me kind of get these lines. I was sketching kind of this pose where he's like crouched and stuff. I just got to go back and rework it here.
In just that short amount of time, we've already got that.
Right. He's very fast. Like, there's some things that DJ can be like very particular, and it's going to take him a minute, and he's going to drive himself nuts. But then there's some things that once he gets the sketch going, like it's a wrap. It's going to be done in 30 minutes, 20 minutes.
Yeah, those like the sketch cards I did for you. I had sketched them out. You know, it took me a minute to sketch out, and then once I got those sketched, the coloring and the shading and stuff was fast and stuff. And it's the same way with the patch cover things that I've been doing lately. Once I get the layout and the sketch done, then it's just going in there and knocking it out.
Now, how did you tackle the map for Castle Aiden? Because that's a big project. Like, Jason, to be honest, tapped out on that project. He was like, DJ, save me, help me. So
yeah.
How did you tackle that project? Because that was your first map, right?
Yeah, that was the first time. And I offered to help Jason if he needed it, because I've always wanted to make a map of some sort. And he was like, yeah, you know, go for it if you want. And so I just kind of broke down. I did a rough sketch of like where each region was and each, you know, like where the village was or where like Muddy Waters that you had put there. I just kind of roughly did that. And then that's kind of when I asked you about like the shape of kind of what you were thinking or whatever. And it needed to fit on a comic page. So I used the 11 by 17, the same I would for a cover,
right,
to kind of lay it out. And then I just made it fit on that page. And yeah, I don't know. It was just a lot of just kind of trial and error. And because I did it digitally, I was able to, you know, take some shortcuts as far as like stamping the mountains on there. Once that design, I could stamp it and shifting stuff. That's kind of why I like working digital too, because you can cut stuff out, make it bigger, smaller. And so if I don't like where something's at, I can just move it around real quick.
Right.
Traditional, you can't. But, yeah, it was just trying to figure it out, you know.
Right. The mini poster has been very popular on the Castle Aiden Kickstart. So a lot of people will have a mini poster here in about 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think I grabbed a 11 by 17, you know, and I'm gonna put it on my wall here because I plan on making maps and stuff for, hopefully for others and for myself for a couple other projects that I have in mind. So
this is the map we're talking about.
Yeah,
it's got a ton of detail on it. Whether it's the dragon in the kind of bottom left corner, or it's the muddy waters there in the middle of Dillingham, which is going to be a huge part of the story. And then you have different, you know, you have your snow and stuff down in the south, and you have that in the middle there is kind of your forest and your, you know, it's not really a tamed area of the continent. So that's going to be an interesting part of the story. We're going to be able to do a lot with this map. It's going to help the reader follow along.
Oh, yeah. It'll be a great point of reference to what's going on in the story.
Absolutely. The one I'm working on now called Dark Minds is it's Mississippi based, but there's an Indian reservation right there, a Choctaw Indian reservation. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to have DJ do a map of the reservation so that we can kind of tell people where we're at during different parts of that story too. Now it'll be a little smaller. It might be just as detailed, but it'll be different kinds of details. It'll be like street names and, you know, little lead to a stream or a lake somewhere. You know, it won't be quite as big and epic as that particular one.
Yeah, for that one, I looked up a lot of like fantasy maps and stuff, and there's certain things about them that I liked and kind of just mimicked it, honestly. You know, I'm a big fan of Tolkien and Lord of the Rings. It's one of my favorite things. I have a lot of Lord of the Rings stuff in my office. And so I kind of looked at some of the stuff that the decisions that were made, you know, on that map for Middle Earth, and just looking up other stuff.
Conan has some pretty good maps in some of his books too.
Yeah, Conan. I don't know, man. There's so much out there, and I just kind of made it fit your style. I added the color. I looked at doing it just kind of like a black and white, or kind of this, vintage looking color.
Right.
And I thought it looked cool with the colors, and it helped separate the regions more than just labeling the regions. And so that's kind of,
Yeah, when me and Jason first started talking, it was going to be black and white. But once I saw it in color, I was like, well, now people are going to know, which one's the dragon area, which one's the mountain area, which one's the snow area. So I think it definitely worked.
Yeah, and I'm a fan. I'm a fan of black and white. I mean, I love seeing pencils.
Oh yeah,
And like three of my most prized comic possessions are I've got three action figures. I got Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman done by Jim Lee. But
Yeah.
the action figures look like they're drawn in pencil.
right.
But you open up the package and there's pencils of the characters. I mean, they're like in a box that opens. And I love pencils. I mean, this.
Now I will say, and I'm getting better at it. On covers, I can usually see everything, but sometimes when Jason sends me an interior, it's not till it's colored that I really 100% know what I'm looking at. Sometimes there's details in there that I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was coming. And I'm completely surprised when I see the colored version. Even though he sent me the black and white for approval, I'm still surprised sometimes when I see the colored version. That's my non-artist eye looking at it, though.
I always love when I go back and I see something. I can look at it a bunch of times, and then I can go back and then I'll see a detail that I missed.
Right.
and with that map too, if you ever want to, we can go in and make a black and white easy, and
It might be something worth selling at cons and different things, just to give people more options.
yeah, because it's a, and like you said, as your book progresses, we can zoom in and do a more detailed of each region map. If we
Absolutely. I definitely want to do like X marks the spot if we're fighting at a certain spot in that issue, or if something meaningful happened in a certain location. And maybe it's not directly on the map, but we know where it's at. So now we're going to tell y'all with this X
right.
where it's at. So I definitely want to do things like that as we go.
I got to say, I'm a little jealous when I hear that everybody's read the script but me. But
Well,
having said that, I kind of don't want it spoiled.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep you excited.
I'm very excited.
DJ's doing all the lettering, so there is no way around him seeing the script.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to. It's still cool though. Like that line we were talking about in issue 2, you were asking me kind of how it read and stuff. You said you were trying to up the intensity in that scene.
Right.
So that was kind of cool, like reading it and stuff, and then seeing Jason's image and Justin's colors, and then putting the words on there and stuff. It was it's still cool for me to see that part come together.
Yeah, and to be the like that moment, I really liked once it all came together. But there's a spot in issue 1 that I can't go into detail yet because not everybody's read it. But I was trying for a big moment, and I actually feel like I came up short. So on the opposite end, it's teaching that too. It's letting you know that sometimes what's a big moment in your head, once it's on pen and color and inked and all that, it might not come across that way in the comic book. But there's also moments where maybe you didn't think it was going to be a big moment, but when you turn that page, it's like, wait a second, that was kind of neat after all. So it works both ways, but it's interesting as we're learning to figure out which one it is, and trying to catch as many of those beforehand so we can adjust it or change it if we need to. That's been an interesting part of the book. And like here lately, I've wrote 6 issues of Castle Aiden. I've now wrote the first issue of Dark Minds. Dark Minds is a cop book. Castle Aiden is a medieval times book. So it's really made me think as I'm writing too, because the worlds are so different and the characters are so different. I can't use any cross references between the two. They has to be completely different and fresh. So that's been challenging but fun. So I stayed up till 5 a.m, finishing issue 1 last night. So it was worth it though, because I was having a blast. I was listening to Tupac. I had my little Coke Zero, and I was jamming. I was happy. So no complaints about being up at 5 a.m. That's just what happened.
When do you plan on launching that book?
Well, we're starting it November 3rd. So we should be ready to go to Kickstarter. We'll go to Castle Aiden issue 3 in January, Kickstarter. So we'll probably do this one in February.
Okay.
I would love to get it to the point where between me, you, and Jason, every month we have something that's out there, because I think it'll show our fans how serious we are about putting quality entertainment in front of them and telling these stories. And I think it'll make all of us look, professional and like we're here for the long haul. And I think fans will appreciate that if we can kind of get a cycle going of every month. You're going to see something from one of us.
Right.
And I was going to talk with Jason more about it, but he has the Snake Farm, logo and the imprint and all that already. There might be a possibility that all of us kind of do a little bit under that banner. We still do our own things, obviously.
Yeah.
But, we kind of work together and push it. And I think it can be a good thing. I know Charter Comics kind of does that to a degree, and I've seen a few other people that do it as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's people do it differently out there. I might end up doing some stuff with Charter down the road, and like you said, and then I made my own publishing logo that I shared the other day, just because I'm doing comic books and stuff, but I also want to make other books. I want to make coloring books. I want to make kids books. I want to do
Awesome.
kids books. So I kind of just wanted one logo that I could throw on there,
Right.
And it'll just, I didn't overthink it. I was overthinking it for a while. I quit overthinking it. I just did the logo. I'm like, all right, it's done. I'm going with that, and I can move on to the everything else.
Right. Awesome. So how's our Spider-Man looking?
It's good. I threw a little color on there for you guys.
Zoom back in, Dave.
Oh, wow.
And that took what, 20 minutes? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
That's with us talking, and that's with us talking and bothering you.
Yeah, if I was gonna do like a full like rendering, that would be like my first kind of rough sketch, and I might do this as a full print because I kind of like the way it looks, just that sketch. But I kind of get a feel for it, and then I would take it in and redraw it with the clean lines. I mean, I just kind of sketch the webbing and stuff on there.
Awesome.
I think it looks tremendous.
Yeah, definitely. And again, that was DJ putting like not half effort, but like half effort, into what he would send.
Well, you put him on the spot.
Yeah, if you paid for one of his commissions, you would get something completely different that he put a lot more time and energy and all that into. What's the best way for somebody to reach you if they want to get some paid commissions, DJ? We're not going to keep you on here much longer.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I would say the best way is probably Facebook, and I'm just on Facebook under my full name, Don Jason Hall, because Facebook won't let me put DJ. I go by DJ, but in parentheses it's DJ. So Don Jason Hall in parentheses DJ. If you search that, I'll come up. That's where I kind of post everything and have my biggest following, I guess. Other than that, it's Instagram, and on Instagram, I'm under the Art of Silence, and there's a dot before silence. So the Art of dot silence, and you can reach out on there. So I reach even before the show, I was messaging people about commissions on Instagram. I had 3 people I was talking to.
Perfect.
And so I try to respond to everybody by at least the end of the day there, and get you on the list. Like I said, I kind of have this routine now where I work on the commissions first thing in the morning. That way I'm always doing something. And if I don't have commissions, I'm working on a print or just more sketch covers for my shows. So yeah, just Facebook or Instagram, and eventually I'll have a website and stuff like that. But follow me on there. Keep updated on my books and everything I'm doing and shows, and hopefully I can see some of you guys out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And when your book hits Kickstarter in October, we'll get you back on to kind of plug it and talk about it in a little more detail.
Yeah, I'd love to come back on. It's been a fun little show here, just kind of chatting and sketching with you guys.
Yes, sir.
We've enjoyed having you, and I'm excited about Black Ribbon. Just that concept.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't read tons of comics and books and stuff, but I read enough, and it was just something I came up with years ago, and I'm finally kind of, I think the timing's right. I had a lot to learn, and I'm glad I didn't put it out 4 years ago. I think the script's pretty good, and the art's going to be, hopefully good. Hopefully people like it. And there is a little there's a twist in the first issue that I'm putting in there that hopefully nobody catches. And I will say that I'm putting Easter eggs throughout the entire first issue, starting from the very first page. And so after you read it, you can go back and find the Easter eggs. I don't know how many there are, but there's a few. And so I'm going to kind of do stuff like that. And then at the end, there's a little stinger teaser, kind of leaving it up in the air, kind of what I'm doing with the story. And
Right.
yeah, I'm excited to get that out.
Well, I know you'll have me and Dave backing it when it comes out in October. So
Definitely.
you definitely got two people here.
Yeah, there we go. I just need one person to enjoy it, and I'll keep doing it. So
I don't think one person enjoying it's going to be an issue, DJ. I think we're all right on that.
I could see my wife wanting to read that.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. It's it's definitely. I'm not making it for kids, but it's not going to be like super crazy. But there's going to be some language, some gore, and stuff like that. But I'm trying to kind of lean into more of the psychological horror and thriller aspect. So we'll see. I don't know. We'll see how good I am at continuing writing that genre.
Right. And you'll get better each time you tinker with the script. You'll get better and better and better and better and better. So.
Is there a timetable for the night shift?
So that one I was actually trying to get out by the fall, and I'm thinking about doing. I have one issue or one script or one issue written, but it was pretty long. I'm actually thinking about doing that one a little bit differently and making it kind of more just graphic novel form right out the gate, and doing almost like 5 issues into one volume. And that I'm thinking about just launching the story that way, and just do that. So as soon as I get the Black Ribbon going, and I finished illustrating it and stuff, and it's on Kickstarter, I'm jumping straight into Night Shift. I already have a lot of work done on it. Like I said, the script is done, and I'm just trying to decide if I want to do it like a traditional comic, because I think the script, it was pretty long for the first issue, which I could do it, but I either need to shorten it, or I'm going to do just a full, like, I'll show you. Let me grab it real quick if I can find it here. So Marvel did this cool thing with some of their stories where they did this premiere collection, and it's kind of in a paperback.
Right.
And so I'm thinking about doing something like that for the Night Shift, and just maybe in the future, if it takes off, then go back and release like an issue 1 as like a collector's edition, issue 1 single issue for the first part of the story. But I think I'm going to do 4 or 5 parts in the one thing and then launch it. So it's definitely going to be next year. I wanted it this year, but next year sometime, maybe like in the spring, summertime. That's what I'm shooting for. There's a lot of work that has to go into it, but
especially when you're doing it all.
Yeah. The Night Shift's a real important project to me, and it's local, and it's just a big project, and so I'm not rushing it. I want it to be, as close to perfect as I can get it. This Black Ribbon thing is more of I get a little bit of freedom and can explore, and there's not as much pressure. Like, okay, if people don't like it, well, it's horror thriller anyways. Like, it's not going to be for everyone.
Right.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting that one out for sure.
Okay. Awesome.
I was gonna, Dave, if you can shoot me a message on Facebook, I'll send this out to you.
Oh, I'll do that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just send this out to you. I'll sign it and stuff.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Now he's definitely going to end up getting a Ric Flair from you.
Yeah, we can do a cool Ric Flair.
Oh yeah, I don't think I hadn't been playing it in my head already.
Well, Dave, I'll let you know. I mean, prices vary and whatnot, but like the sketch cards are very affordable, Dave. So you could get like a Charlotte Flair, Ric Flair. You could get a couple different people, and at a reasonable price as well, and they're really cool.
Well, I'm thinking that get Rick and me in the ring.
Yeah.
There you go. That would be fun.
Well, he would have a good reference point because you're in there for his last.
I know, but I didn't get to hold his hand up.
Well, DJ Mike can fix that for you.
He was dehydrated.
And in this picture, you will be able to hold his hand up. So
it's the beautiful part about comics.
Exactly. Well, we appreciate your time, DJ.
DJ, thank you so much, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It was fun. And anytime you want to do this again, let me know.
We'll definitely plan on maybe mid-October once the book has about a week and a half on Kickstarter or something.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that. That'd be fun.
Absolutely. And like I said, you got 2 backers for sure right here. So
thank you. Yeah. Look forward to it, man. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Talk to you soon.
See ya.
DJ Hall, everybody. That was fun.
That was an amazing Spider-Man for
Man,
about
was it?
15,
Oh, no
20
pun intended.
I didn't know if I was going to say
I dare say
astonishing or
spectacular.
amazing. I was going to either say astonishing or amazing, but you know, either one works for Spidey.
I used to read them all.
I did too back in the day. I went to the comic shop today since it's Wednesday.
Well, let me put the spotlight on you.
Let's see here. So today was a bigger day for me and Kristen because again we collect together. It's not just my list. It's what does she want to read? What do I want to read? Some stuff we do both read. She loves these old timey magazines. Dracula, Vampirella, Eerie, different ones. But this
Got a Tales from the Crypt feel to it.
Yes. So found her one of these in the bin today. Then as far as newer stuff, you got Detective Comics featuring a story with Batman and Lobo. This actually came out about 2 weeks ago, but my shop didn't get it.
So it's an annual?
Yeah. So he had to reorder it for me. But I'm looking forward to I already know the spoilers because I watched too many podcasts. So I know what happens.
Hey,
But,
what's the all in? Can you tell us what that's about?
Yeah, it's just an initiative that DC kind of did when they did their rebranding. They had the New 52 for a while, and they've had different things over the course of their life. The Absolute thing is its own thing, but they just try and do a rebranding. And All In is basically they're really pitching to let creators tell a story that they want to tell. So instead of your boss coming to you and saying, give me Batman and I need Joker as the bad guy, blah, 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 6 issues. They're really letting the creators come to them and pitch and take shots with these characters that don't necessarily you normally get a book. That's why we have Lobo right now and Deathstroke and Batwoman and Zatanna and Deadman has an ongoing and Fury of Firestorm and just a lot of characters that normally don't have their own book have it right now because they're really at DC giving creators a chance to tell fresh and unique stories and take big swings. And big swings is, their words. That's what they've been using. The Absolute world is helping finance it though, because like if Absolute Batman wasn't as big as it was, the company wouldn't be willing to, take a risk on Fury of Firestorm. But since Batman's out here doing anywhere from low 300,000 to high 550, 600,000 a month, that gives you a little bit of wiggle room to play with stuff. And let me just say, Absolute Batman isn't the only Absolute title that's doing well. People act like Absolute Batman's carrying it. Yes, it's the #1 comic in the world by a landslide. But Absolute Superman, Absolute Wonder Woman, and Absolute Green Arrow sales have all been amazing too. And Flash and Green Lantern aren't that bad either. So people need to kind of relax. Yes, Batman is leading the way, but the other books are doing their part as well. Let's see. We got this in today. People might remember the Fire and Ice series, the animated series from the 80s. This is one of the characters in that.
Yeah, we talked about it last week.
We did, and that's an awesome cover, just for the record. Then we have Jeff the Land Shark, which is more of a funny one. Kristen likes reading this one. But you follow this little shark around on his adventures, and he interacts with all the big stars. Then you got Absolute Batman, of course. It came out today. I'm sure Kristen will be reading it as soon as we get off this podcast. It's her go-to.
Now, are they doing a crossover where Bruce Wayne is in the Absolute universe?
All right, so on Batman Day, they are releasing a book that has the Absolute Batman in it and the regular Batman in it, but they're not going to actually cross over. They're going to be solving something similar.
And it'll go back and forth.
Right, so it's going to show a little bit of Absolute, a little bit of regular, and they're going to kind of intertwine the stories in some way. I'm not sure what way.
Gotcha.
This was a really cool one that came out today. This is Batman and Robin Year One Dynamic Duos, written by Mark Waid. This is going to be a little mini series that kind of goes back in time and tells us old Batman stories with Dick Grayson as Robin. Stuff that we don't get to see very often.
That's issue 1?
Yes, just came out today.
Oh, my ass is at Vans tomorrow.
Now this is Dynamic Duos. They did just a year one last year. That's now out on trade paperback. It's a 12-issue mini. I just ordered it the trade paperback yesterday
Oh,
so that I can go back and read it. Because I love these old tales. And Mark Waid he might be a crazy person if you follow him on social medias and stuff like that, but he knows these old school characters in that era of writing for sure.
Mark Waid was writing the Flash when I was big.
Oh,
yeah. I associate him with Flash more than anything.
Yeah, I would say that's probably what most people associate him the most with, but he's put his hands on everything.
Yeah.
Superman, JLA, Flash, Batman, Marvel character. Like, he's put his hands. He was a big part of CrossGen, which is a company I really liked in the early 2000s. That was more of a genre company. They hired all these big name artists and writers and moved them to Florida and put them on salary. And it was a big deal for about 3 or 4 years. And it wasn't really superheroes. There was a barbarian, there was a pirate character, there was a detective in the Victorian age, there was a Lord of the Rings style book, there was a Way of the Rat, which was kung fu, like Bruce Lee style. There's The Path, which is about samurais. So like they did a lot of genre stuff, and it was really, really, really cool. We also got Miles Morales Spider-Man in today, which is a #1. I'm hoping it kind of tells more classic Spider-Man tales than the current Spider-Man book.
Is he the same universe as Peter Parker?
I believe they are in the same universe. This is the #1, but I'm pretty sure they are.
Okay.
And then Dior, this is one that I actually got a variant cover on. I didn't pick cover A for this one because I really, really liked this cover. Dorky is one of my favorite books every month. It's just fun. And then the last one, Deadly Tales of Gunslinger Spawn. Don't get it confused with Gunslinger Spawn. There is a Gunslinger Spawn that's on issue like 56 or 57. This one is issue 17, so you can actually catch up with this one a lot easier than the Gunslinger Spawn. But I really like this book too. So
hey, I want to go back to the land shark.
Yeah.
And you said he rubs elbows with all the major stars.
Yeah, let's see.
And it made me think about what DC did a few years ago with the Looney Tunes characters. Did you get to read any of those?
I didn't.
Batman Elmer Fudd.
Okay.
Could possibly be one of the. I mean, I would rank it in my top 10 comics that I've ever read.
Really, that high?
It was super fun.
Okay, I like it.
And I think that I own it, and if I do, I will get it to you.
It sounds fun. Usually Kristen's the one that brings these fun books home for us to read. I don't necessarily put them on the pull list, but every now and then the art is so good that I read it too, just because it is real cute. So like here you can kind of see on this page, Wolverine's in there, Storm, Jeff of course is in there. So it's real cute art, and it's written by Kelly Thompson, who does Absolute Wonder Man. Or Wonder Woman. So it shows her range that she's able to tell an epic story like Absolute Wonder Woman with gods and Greek mythology and different things, and then come back and tell, comedy for kids. And it's not just for kids, but comedy for a young audience at least. So she's also writing Buffy the Vampire Slayer right now.
Oh.
So that just came back. Supernatural's popular. So a lot of those TV shows have their own comic book as well now. So there's something for everyone to read in comics, no matter what style you like, no matter what kind of artwork you want. I can help you find something that you'll enjoy if you just give me a little bit to work with.
Oh, well, you've got me going to the comic book store tomorrow just on the Dynamic Duos War 1.
The artwork in it's really cool. The artwork moves it to that time frame where it's like early Gotham and the street level stuff of Gotham. So you're gonna love the artwork on it.
And Dick Grayson is my favorite Robin. He's one of my favorite characters in the DCU.
Okay, so yeah, this is right up your alley. Then.
Yeah,
and it's a mini series, so it's not like you got to stick with it for years. It's just gonna kind of. Last one was 12 issues. I'm not sure how long this one is. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 10 to 12, kind of like last year's was. But it's going to be fun with Mark Wade writing it for sure. So
Cool.
but yeah, I guess the only other, of course, again, Kickstarter ends tomorrow at 11. So anybody that's wanting to support the Kickstarter or edit their order needs to go in and do that. I've had a few people ask me about adding stuff. You can absolutely do that, and Kickstarter makes it really easy. You just go to manage your pledge, and you're able to click on that, and then you can start messing with all the different things again. Whether it's a cover, map.
See, as bad as I want the T-shirt, I'm kind of coming around on that map.
Right.
The importance of having one.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not going to make issue 1, but we are going to try and put the map when we have an extra page, either the front or the back, so that people can reference it. But it's not going to be there every single issue. So if you do want to be able to reference it all the time, it would be cool to have one that you can put up on your wall or put on your desk that you like to read at and kind of pull it out when necessary. Because again, we're just talking about issue 1 right now, but this is something that, I've already wrote the first 6, outline 7, and I have a rough outline all the way up to 50 or 60. So this is something that if y'all support it, we're going to be doing it a long time. And when I commit to something, I commit. BIW is 19 years in. If I commit, I'm going to give it my best as long as people are supporting it.
Well, I'm excited. And like I said, I feel like I could probably get you to let me read the script.
Oh yeah, I would.
But I think I want to read it in the comic form.
Right.
But I got to admit, when I saw the video with Lupe Lopez talking about that she read the first 6 issues and how excited she is about it, I was a little jealous.
Well, that was the thing too, because like me as the writer is one thing, but I've let a few people read it, not very many. Issue 1 is a lot of setup, and I think it's very important, and I think it's necessary, but it's not, it's setup. Issue 2, I feel, is a lot of fun, but issue 3, that's when the story starts like getting cranked up.
As your co-host, I think it's important that I go on the journey with the listeners.
Right. Absolutely. Plus, we can talk.
I want to go on that journey with them, as I'm excited for the next issue, and I don't want to be like, oh, I've already read it, and I can assure you, no, I want to.
Right, and that'll give us more to talk about on the show too, because you can ask questions that, if we've already spent the last 3 weeks talking about it, it won't feel genuine on the show, and it won't have that same energy, and So I think it's best for you to be surprised. I might show you a cover every now and then. But
that's not spoiling any. The artwork doesn't spoil anything for me.
Okay.
Seeing a page here or there doesn't spoil anything for me. But I'm trying to think. Like, I know there's going to be a character that I'm not going to like.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm like, how am I going to feel about the king? How am I going to feel about the kid? I feel like Baymore is going to be my boy.
Right. On some of the people that have already got to read it, just so I could get some feedback, they're actually kind of split on like if they like Marcus or if they don't like Marcus, and I wasn't expecting that when I read it.
See, I'm kind of like, am I going to like the kid?
Right. And I've had a few people. Most people have liked Leland, but I've had a few people be like, I don't like that little twerp. So it's going to be interesting to see who people like, who they don't like, why they like them, why they don't like them. I will say in the test reads, nobody has not liked Baymore. Everybody has liked Baymore.
Yeah, I got to think that Baymore is going to be the breakout star of this whole thing, but
there's a good chance of it. But I mean, we already made him a shirt, so I was kind of assuming he would be.
Yeah.
And he's going to be on a lot of future covers, and there's a reason. And we kind of know where our bread is with Baymore. We have a good idea of it at least, but there's going to be, yes, he might be the most popular character, but I'm very interested in seeing who the most hated is or who the second most popular is. Because again, this is a Game of Thrones type story. So you followed the Starks for a lot of it, but like the Lannisters were a big part of the story, and the Tyrell, and just all these different, the Mountain, the Hound, all these different characters were huge for the story. So a lot of these characters, we're going to follow them on their journeys. And, we might have to go 2 or 3 issues without hearing from certain kind of C and D level characters. But
Yeah.
we are going to get back to those characters and see what they're up to as well. So we're going to have a lot of people that people will have the opportunity to hate, love, like. I want to get the messages where it's like, hey, when are we going to see this character more? I really liked him. I want to see those messages. Or when they're surprised, like, oh, we thought he was going to turn on him, but, he stood his ground. We weren't expecting that. I want to talk to the fans about that kind of stuff. It's just comics move so slow.
Yeah.
Because like between the artwork and the script and the printing and the publishing.
Well, Frank Miller, as great as he is, he lost me because when he was trying to do that second go around on the Dark Knight, you can't go 4 or 5 months between issues.
Right. Now on the independent scene, I will say you see it a little more often than you do on like the main screen, because again, these are things that people like myself are funding and getting the work done on their own. Like there is no, financial backer. There is no, corporation. There is no whatever. So imagine just taking $8,000 out of your bank account right now and saying you can't have it back for 6 months or 7 months or, however long it ends up being. So that's
a bold move. I'm envious. I mean, that you got this dream and you're chasing it, and I'm excited to be along for the ride on it just to see how it all comes out.
And I can tell you, just being honest on our podcast, that I'm definitely scared because, like, I don't know what direction it's going to be, and I've invested so much time, energy. I was the same way with BIW when it first started, because anybody that goes back and watches the first year or two of BIW, we kind of sucked. We weren't good. We would have a good match on every show for sure, but as far as like the show from top to bottom, it wasn't great. But by the time we got to like year 2.5, 3, we were pretty dang good. And by the time we got to say year 5 or 6, we were one of the best in the South. And that's counting Texas too. You can lump us in. We've had different runs. There's been times where we were the best in Louisiana, times when we might have been second or third. There's been times when we were the best in Mississippi and Arkansas, different things. But we definitely had a run where you could even throw Texas in, and we were in it. We were in that top 5. We were spitting out good stuff.
Yeah.
Every single show and every single month. And we still, we don't run quite as often as we used to. But as far as the in-ring product, we're definitely up there. If you want to talk about stages and lights and glitz and glamour and, fancy microphone segments and all that stuff, no, we might not be your cup of tea. But if you're just saying the bell rings, give me quality wrestling, bring me back to the old school of it, we'll probably be your cup of tea.
Well, since you brought it up, that's a great segue into what we're doing this weekend.
Yes, sir. Saturday. I'll get to see you Saturday.
Worthy Cost at the Lingo Center in Oak Grove, Louisiana. Doors open at 7, bell rings at 7:30.
Yes, sir. We'll be there. And it's a busy week around here. We got Battle of the Badges here in Monroe. There's a comedy show at the Civic Center, or the Jack Howard part of the Civic Center. There's a Butterbean signing in Delhi, and they're doing a sports card show.
Wait a minute. Butterbean's going to be in Delhi?
Yeah, at the Delhi Civic Center. Y'all might can catch it on y'all's way into Oak Grove.
Well, there ain't going to be no y'all. It's just going to be me.
What, we don't get to see Stephanie?
No, because they're doing a jamboree, JV jamboree Saturday night. So
right. Well,
she's going to be watching the grandson play football.
Okay. Well, I guess that means you'll be coming to eat at Fletcher's after, so you can stay awake and get some fuel for the road.
Oh, without question. I'm in.
So, but Butterbean will be in Delhi. And there's a sports card show going on too.
In Delhi, Louisiana.
Yeah, at the Civic Center there.
I was not aware.
Oh yeah,
and it's a sports card show.
Yes, and then GeekCon is in Shreveport, which is always a big deal, and I hope to be one of the people there. We need to look into some cons for me and you, and we can go in and get one of the bigger tables and do like your wrestling stuff.
Yeah,
and then the comic stuff, but also hopefully both of us, make some new fans and market ourselves and network and do some things.
I'm for it.
So whether it's on the podcast world for you or selling the merch, whatever networking we can do. But yeah, so this weekend plus the wrestling, so it's going to be really, really busy in the area. So I want everybody to get out and do something. I don't want to hear a single person on Monday say there ain't nothing to do in the area. If I do, I'm attacking your Facebook comments. Anybody I see griping about nothing to do on Monday that lives in Monroe or the surrounding area, I'm hitting those comments.
Yeah.
And I don't usually do that, but I'm going to do it this month. As far as we go, this is going to be a great show. We go to Oak Grove once a year. So this is our 2026, the only time to catch us in Oak Grove. This is actually going to be your opening bout. It'll be the first thing you see. And I guarantee you they've been the main event on several shows against each other in the past. So that's the kind of level of talent that you're going to see, that we're starting the night out with Christian Blake and Wes Warren. And it's going to be an amazing way to start it out, too, because they're going to be physical. They're going to be intense. Wes is going to try and rake his eyes out. It's
Wes's intensity level is pretty unmatched.
Yeah. I think the only person that's a little scarier was Vordell. But because when I saw Vordell mad, I would always be like, uh-oh. And I kind of get that with Wes, too.
Lou Cameron reminds me a lot of Vordell when Vordell's mad.
Okay.
I mean, he's big and bad, but I'm fast and I stay out of away from him. Like I'm like outside the ring. You need to stop that because I'm not going to try to get in between him once he's lost it.
Right.
And him and Suge both are.
Yeah, Suge will be back in BIW November 7th. The main event for Brookhaven's already been announced. So it's Suge and Rob Love versus Steve Anthony and Alex Arsenal.
Oh, that's going to be a banger.
Yeah, that should be a nice main event for Brookhaven, Mississippi. Tag titles on the line here. Muddy Waters making their first defense against a very cocky tag team from San Antonio, Texas. We've seen Diego before, but this will be David's debut.
Well, the perfect tag team.
That's cocky.
That's very cocky.
So we're going to find out.
Diego was in that was in where was that Buff was at?
That was Buff Spring Hill.
Was that where Diego was in Spring Hill?
Yeah, I think he wrestled Bam Bam there.
Okay, yeah, I remember that. Look at me remembering towns.
There you go. BIW's been in a lot of them over the years.
I got to say I'm excited about this one. I've heard a lot about Brooklyn Barrett, and we know what Cassandra can do, but I mean, she trained at the Nightmare Factory. She went over to Japan and did great things over there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and she'll bring a different style that Cassandra doesn't get to tangle with too often.
Yeah, she's a bit of a brat.
Yeah. Cassandra's going to have kind of the power and size advantage on her, but Brooklyn's going to have some technique and some speed on her. Cassandra.
Yeah. Styles makes matches. I think this is going to be good.
I hope so. I wouldn't have booked it otherwise.
No, I mean, I was excited about the previous matchup, but
yeah, Callie had some personal stuff that she just couldn't make it. And again, she's a San Antonio girl.
Yeah.
So for her to get to Oak Grove, you're talking about 8.5, 9 hours one way. So it's an 18-hour investment of time, energy, and money.
Well, I think the BIW fans are in for a treat. This is it worked out.
Absolutely.
Ray Fury and Hunter Law. This could be a main event anywhere.
Oh yeah. It's a 50-50 match. It's just one of those that if you told me Ray wins, I wouldn't be surprised. If you told me Hunter wins, I wouldn't be surprised. And I'd like to book at least one of those, if not two, every single show where, there is no favorite. It's right down the middle.
And this is surprising because, a year and a half ago, I would have said, I mean, there's no doubt that Fury's going to win this match.
Right.
I don't know.
And Fury did beat Hunter during the, down on the Bayou tournament.
Right.
That was one of Fury's wins on the way to winning the tournament.
Yeah.
which he cashed in for a Southern title shot. And, you know, Caleb Conley still had the belt at the time and was able to defeat Ray.
Yeah.
But
Well, Ray's going to have his hands full because this is a different Hunter Law.
oh yeah, this
I
was
mean,
gonna be a good.
I mean, he pushed Steve Anthony. So
Yeah, Steve didn't beat him. It was a
no.
draw.
Yeah. Speaking of,
Yep, the GOAT versus the champ. Steve Anthony is the only person to ever hold that belt twice, and he's going to try to be the only person to hold it 3 times after Saturday night. And the last time these two guys fought, the only time they've ever fought, Steve Anthony beat him.
Yeah.
Now,
Arsenal had a different attitude, and
he's been on a roll lately. He's ran through a bunch of guys. He beat Corey Steed. He's beaten Rob Love. You know, he's done a lot of stuff. He beat Caleb Conley. Him and Suge battled to that, you know, DQ, no contest. So Arsenal's, you know, proven that he's a worthy champion, but this is the GOAT. This is the guy that's been the best wrestler, in my opinion, in the South for the last 20 years.
this is Arsenal's biggest challenge to date.
Absolutely. And that's saying something because Caleb Conley is one of the best I've ever been around. But I would put this even above that.
We need Caleb. We need Caleb back.
We've talked. His JCW schedule is a little crazy right now with him being the champ. You know, and wrestling some of the best in the world. He's been in the ring with Matt Riddle, Dolph Ziggler, just Kerry Morton, all sorts of guys. But we've talked 2027. Don't be surprised if Caleb Conley's back in the BIW ring.
See Caleb Conley bring that JCW title down here and go title versus title.
There you go. I can reach out to Violent J. He's liked a few of our posts over the years. Well, you can see what he wants to do.
I'd be for it.
I'm sure he would be okay.
I'm over here fantasy booking, Josh.
Hey, I'm sure he would be okay to have Alex Arsenal or Steve Anthony.
Hey, and you know me being a belt mark, but Caleb having his face on a belt.
Right.
The coin. I love that belt so much. I got to inbox him and get me one of those replicas that he had made.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure he still has some. So shoot him a message.
I will.
And yeah, this of course is the main event of the night. So, and again, another kind of like Ray and Hunter 50-50 match.
Whoops.
45 though, because
sorry.
Oh, you're good. You know, that's another one that I would say might be 50-50, kind of like Hunter Law and Ray, but it might even be 55-45 in favor of the challenger. It's hard for me to 50-50 anybody with Steve Anthony.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember Steve's the only person with me from the second show on. Like, nobody really is with me from the first show. Don Juan did recently come back and do a show, but I mean, it had been years before that, and he's not on the consistent roster. But Steve Anthony was on our second ever show, and here he is still with me all these years later, just as good as he was back then, if not better. And I'll never forget, I called Luke Hawk to try and book him on the show, and we couldn't work it out. But he said, you need to contact the best wrestler in Louisiana. And I was like, okay, who's that? And he said Steve Anthony. And I called Steve, and we worked it out, and boom, we've been together for 19 years now. And I consider Anthony, you know, not just one of my wrestlers, but he's family. He's a friend. A lot of the wrestlers, we don't necessarily get to that personal level, but because of the time that I've been around Anthony, the blood, sweat, and tears that he's put into BIW, the road trips I've taken with him, the respect I have for him and his family and how hard he works to take care of them, but also do this dream of professional wrestling. You know, I definitely consider him more than just one of my wrestlers. He's definitely family.
All right. Well, give us the rundown on the after party. That'll be our food segment tonight.
Yeah.
What can we expect to eat good at this after party?
So we're going to Fletcher's Country Store afterwards. It's just right up the road, about 5 to 7 minutes from the building. There is nothing normally open in Oak Grove, Louisiana, at the time in which our show ends. So
Oh, that's a fact.
they're staying open late for us. I don't know if they're going to kind of shorten the menu up just because they're probably going to be hit with 30 or 40 people at what time they're normally closed. But typically they have breakfast all day, so you can go in and get an omelet, some eggs, whatever, or you can turn around and get the burger, the chicken sandwich, the patty melt, the salad. I got the cheese sticks last time. I'm a big mozzarella stick guy, and they were very good. I got a patty melt as well. It was good, friendly service. I will say, everybody be a little patient because I mean we're going to walk in 40 deep
Yeah.
at 9:45, 10 o'clock at night, and it's a small store, usually 2 or 3 staff members.
Well, I mean, when we do these, it's perfect time for everybody to fellowship.
Exactly.
So
yeah, we want to eat some good food, but we're also there to laugh, tell stories, talk about the show, talk about the next show, talk about past shows, see what's going on in everybody's life. Because,
Right.
some wrestlers come, but it's also a lot of fans there. And it's a chance to really talk about stuff. When we go to El Paso, I probably spend 40 minutes talking and 5 minutes eating most of the time.
yeah, it's at El Paso. You got to get in there and order.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, get your order in and then fart around a little bit because.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're on a mission. I'm excited about eating at this place. You're talking about eggs and hamburgers. I'll get an egg on my hamburger.
Absolutely.
That's a hangover burger. I love them.
That's $1 upcharge at most places and worth every bit of it.
Did you know that you can get an egg put on your Whataburger?
No, I don't think I did.
You
know
can.
about
It's secret menu item, and you can do it.
Okay, my wife loves Whataburger. They piss me off. So the wait is always makes me want to punch stuff.
Do you order when you get there? Or do you order on the app?
We order when we get there most of the time. But even if I like DoorDash or something, my DoorDasher will message and be like, "Still at Whataburger."
Yeah, they're timed. Even when you order on the app,
and the Coke Zero is always out. At least at the one here in Monroe.
See, and that would have used to bothered me, but now I've pretty much cut out sugar.
Right.
And Coke Zero is about the only zero that you can get at a restaurant. So
yeah,
I feel your pain on that.
Now, Bojangles usually has a Pepsi Zero, which is my least favorite zero, but at least it's a zero.
Yeah.
And then, usually Coke. And now at a convenience store, you can find some Dr. Pepper Zeros. And at a Pilot, you can find a Mountain Dew Zero, but
I drink Dr. Pepper Zero.
Yeah. I don't think any restaurant that I frequent has Dr. Pepper Zero on the menu.
I saw Mr. Pibb Zero at Piggly Wiggly this morning.
Okay.
And they've gone away from that Pibb Extra and went back to the old school Mr. Pibb logo.
Okay, nice.
I may have to give it a try.
Yeah, I like all the zeros for the most part. But even before I became diabetic and switched to the zeros, I would drink Sprite, Dr. Pepper, root beer, Coke. I had a favorite. Mountain Dew was my favorite, but I could drink them all. And just like now, Coke Zero is my favorite. If we're getting a 12-pack or a 24-pack, I'm getting a Coke Zero.
Well, speaking of my favorite, I have been reunited with Rosa.
Okay.
It got to where I couldn't find it anymore. And then Stephanie looked on Amazon and it was back on there. Because it's in this area, it's a discontinued flavor.
Got you.
But me and Rosa got back together and I'm extremely happy.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you found your mistress.
Been a good day. And it's been a good show. This has been fun this week, Josh. I'm looking forward to having more guests. That was fascinating.
Oh, yeah. And we're going to try to, that was a comic book guest, but we're going to have a food guest. We're going to have a wrestling guest. I've already talked to Pops, and one of them's going to come on and talk to us before crawfish season's all I promise. Because once crawfish season hits, they'll be balls to the walls busy.
Yeah.
But I told her like November, December, somewhere in there. Obviously, we're going to still have wrestlers. I'm going to try not to lean into that too much since you already do that with your primary podcast.
Yeah, but on my primary podcast, I'm only focusing on the old stuff now. I'm on the old stuff. I'm talking about what I'm currently doing on the indies.
Right.
But I'm focusing on, like we did Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat from the Superdome, Raging Cajun Clash of the Champions 6. 55-minute match. It was incredible. And I mean, I watched it today, and there's nothing that gets me more excited about wrestling than watching something like that.
Right.
And I watch it different now, Josh, because I noticed the little things Tommy Young did during the match, because I watch like a referee now.
Right.
So it gives me a different take than on some of the things that I watched 20 years ago or 40 years ago.
Plus, when we have wrestlers on, we'll be able to take, at least, even if it's somebody you've already interviewed on your show in the past, we'll be able to have a little different take.
Definitely.
Because, I'll know something that happened maybe backstage at one of our shows or on the road, or, when they were late for one, or maybe they pissed me off on one, or, we'll have some different insight on it too, even if it's somebody y'all already spoke with.
Yeah, definitely. I'm for it.
So we're going to have some wrestlers. We're going to have the comic people, and not just artists. I'm going to try and get some writers out there. I would love to get some publishing people out there too. But I mean, I don't know how accessible that's going to be right off the bat. But as I start going to more and more cons, I'm pretty good at networking. So I think next year we should be able to get some people in that part of the field too.
Heck, I'm gonna try to get Jim Lee. All he can say is no.
He will say no, but you can try.
But you never know.
Hey, if you send him a right amount of, cash, he might not say no.
I ain't sending him no cash.
All right, then he's gonna say no.
You think he's a wrestling fan?
It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. Maybe you can get a belt done for him or something.
I would.
The Jim Lee Championship. Is he your favorite artist of all time?
He is.
I'm not sure who my favorite
is. I mean, but I'm going back. I'm going back a ways.
Right. Absolutely.
But I may get new favorite artists. Had a pretty good one. On the show tonight.
Yeah.
And if you'd have told me I was going to get a Spider-Man print.
Yeah, the independents are very filled with talent in comics, just like in wrestling. Now there's trash. Just like there is in wrestling. There's ones you want to stay away from that overcharge. They don't deliver. They say they're going to do something and they don't do it. That's in comics too. But just like in independent wrestling, there are a lot of way too talented to be on the indies, but that's where they are type people.
We're going to have that discussion on here one night. Because just as a teaser, sometimes I don't understand what I see on television versus, and I'll never name names. I'm not here to crap on talent.
No.
But sometimes it just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, there is something interesting we could probably do. We could make a list of about 10 names. Guys like your Steve Anthonys, your Vordells, your Saxons. And we can just kind of dissect why do we think that they didn't necessarily get to that WWE or, the TNA or whatever, and try to explain it, because it's hard to explain on some of those guys.
Yeah.
Like you can't tell me that you couldn't find room for Steve Anthony on your television. Or
I'm 100%.
Training, you can't tell me that Vordell Walker wouldn't have worked out in Japan. You can't tell me that John Saxon couldn't have been on a television product, whether it was in a tag team, a cruiserweight division, or even as a manager, just helping people, get over and get better and, continue to work crowds. Chase Stevens, who's coming back in September, that's another one. There's just lots of guys where it's like, why did that guy not make it?
Yeah.
And a lot of these guys have made it. So when I say make it, I don't mean that to the intense degree. I mean that, and why didn't they get the big contract with WWE?
Well, I mean, you could watch any TV show and wonder why that guy's getting pushed down your throat and that guy isn't. And I don't understand.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different stories.
It's kind of like make it make sense to me. Because if there's a reason, like we don't know everything, and even just, what do you see in that guy that you don't see in that guy? And how the hell are you missing it in that guy?
Right. And a lot of times it's that old saying of not what you know, but who you know.
I'm living proof.
That's definitely part of the equation, but it's not the only part of the equation.
I mean, I've been doing this 20 years, but if it's who I know that, now I've got, the thing that I shoehorn into every conversation.
Right.
But I'd like to tell you is that I toiled away on the indies and I paid my dues and I got the spot. No, my best friend's the promoter, and he wanted that for me.
Right.
So I understand that sometimes it's not what you do, it's who you know.
Absolutely.
I get that part of it.
And that's definitely some of these people's equation, but there's also just some weird things that happen. Like you were about to get signed, but you got injured, or you got married and it changed your trajectory, or you moved from, big city to small city and the booking started drying up, or
COVID hit and it knocked you out of an opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. Like we were going to sign you, but now we're not signing anybody. Or we were going to bring you over internationally, but now that's not happening because we're not bringing any Americans over and we don't know when we will.
Well, I'm not blowing rainbow smoke up anybody's ass when I tell you that if you spend $15 to come to Bayou Independent Wrestling Saturday night, you will enjoy that show as much, if not more, as what you're going to go pay $275 to sit in the nosebleeds to watch.
It's definitely worth your $15 for sure. We're going to give you 2 hours of entertainment. You're going to see some athletes. You're going to see some well-trained people. You're going to see some guys with charisma. There's going to be some guys with size. There's going to be some smaller guys that move around the ring quickly. We're going to have a little bit of everything. You also, of course, if you have kids and stuff, intermission is always fun. You can get signatures. You can meet people. And in this case, you can even come eat with us after the show.
Exactly.
And I know not every single wrestler is going to be there, but I imagine like Alex Arsenal will be there. Ray Fury will probably be there. Cassandra's probably 50-50. But, there will be some wrestlers back there. Dave will be there if you want to talk referee, and I'll be there as a promoter. My wife will be there, and she can tell you more stories than anybody. She's probably been through just as much as I have with this Bayou Independent Wrestling thing. So,
yeah, you get good stories out of Kristen.
We're going to do a podcast eventually with both of our wives on here for about 30 minutes and just let them bash us so that the public can have that on record.
Oh goodness.
But we'll try and coach them up to where they don't hurt us too bad, But yeah, I mean, the world needs to know too, because most people, I try and treat people good, and I try and be fair. I try and be respectful. There's not too many people over my 19 years that have bashed me publicly or said anything too negative about me. I'm sure I have my enemies, don't get me wrong, but most people don't say it publicly. But you let my wife get on here for 30 minutes, and that might be a whole different ballgame.
Yeah. They don't ever forget.
Absolutely not.
And they're saints for putting up with us.
And see, she'll tell you 5 minutes of good things at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then bash me for 25. And then when she gets off of the call, she'll be like, see, I talked good about you. Yeah, for the minority of the conversation, not the majority. So, but that's all right. Whatever the truth is, as long as she's speaking the truth, I'm okay with it.
There you go. Well, thank y'all for joining us tonight. This has been a great show, Josh. I've enjoyed it. And we will see you back here, same time, same channel. Next week on Triple P, the Comic Pod, panels, pile drivers, and plates with Josh Newell. Good night,
We'll have
everybody.
results for Oak Grove for y'all next week.
Definitely.